Here's my agenda. Everyone would please shut your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. Time being 9 o'clock, I will call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Wanda. Don.
Here.
Sherry.
Here.
Dan.
Here. Wanda's
Joe.
here.
There's Wanda.
We have a quorum present. Item number 3, does any commissioner have a reason to abstain for a financial or a non-financial conflict of interest?
No.
No.
I do not. Item number 4, approval of the agenda.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Kettering, second by Fox to approve the agenda as presented. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. At this time, item number 5 is public comment. Would any citizen care to make a public comment at this time? There being none, we will close public comment. Item number 6, executive session for litigation pursuant to SDCL 125-2 subpart 3 and poor relief 125-2, 2813 and 2813 1.3.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
So I have a motion by Fox, second by Clemish to go into executive session for litigation and poor relief. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0. We are now in executive session.
You guys want the speaker on? No, it's on. We don't need it on, do we? The speaker out in the hallway.
During the day, we probably shut the speaker off.
Okay.
We don't have people out there, so. We need Dan just a second.
I don't know where he went.
I'm not sure. Oh, well, that's important.
Move to go back into regular session.
Second.
I have a motion by Fox, second by Kettering to go back into regular session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0.
I would move for the payment of file CW 21-2-036.
Second.
So I have a motion by Fox, second by Kettering to approve Case file 21-2-036 in the amount of $352.76. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0. No action will be taken for the litigation portion of the executive session. All right, since we have Sarah here, we're almost on schedule. Come on up, Sarah, with your budget. We'll do revenue at the end.
Hi, Sarah. My brother behaving on the board? Okay, so far. I see you have some trees yet for sale.
Yeah, I figured this phone call was all wording it last night
Okay.
for people wanting the last one, so I
Okay.
think I might actually get rid of all of them.
Good
So,
deal.
thank you. They like to wait till the last minute though, so they know there's not any more left after that.
Okay, were there any questions on any portion of the budget here? Did you do the 4% increase for salary?
I believe that's about what it was.
Okay, so with the 4%, and then you'll have a 2% step increase, so that's about 6% there. Any change requests?
What's in other? Any
Uh,
idea?
I think other I had 0. If you follow the line,
Yep,
nothing. The probably biggest current expense is us publishing our newsletter, and I have taken on doing that in-house now instead of having it sent out to be done, so that's saved quite a bit.
and it's very nice. Thank you. I enjoy reading it. Well, if there's no questions, you're good to go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, now the guy who's asking for all the money. Let's get back to highway. There it is. It's toward the back.
Yeah. Should put it towards the front so it's easier to find.
So Mike, did you want to walk through, probably on your salaries, you did the 4%.
Well, I didn't know what to really put in there. I did a 6.
Okay, because some of yours will get steps, so they will be 6, some of yours won't. You'll have some new hires,
Right.
maybe at some point and such. So Joe and I had sat down with Mike and went through this budget already, and I think his salaries is probably about right.
Yeah, 'cause I'm thinking this year, I'm probably gonna come up short on my salaries, if you're looking at the budget for this year.
Yep. Okay.
And then there's a little cushion in there for overtime. It's unknown on what we're gonna get for winter. So,
Well, we're due for one here one of these years, right?
no, we're good.
I think we're due for one. So why don't we pop down to the expenses? And I think maybe it's best, these are big numbers, to walk through your major projects planned for next year.
Well, I'll kind of just bounce through some of the bigger ones, repairs, maintenance, that's up about 40,000 there. Cost of everything's just going up. And that repairs, maintenance, that's tires, an engine, any repairs that we need to do on any of our equipment. Next would be supplies, which covers the asphalt patching, tack oil, cold mix,
Thank you.
posts, signs, salt sand, crack sealant, mastic sealant, culverts, riprap.
That's a kind of a catch-all.
Yeah, we're at 601 this year. It'll be about 691 is what I'm figuring for next year. I pretty much tried to repeat last year, or not last year, this year for next year. That's what I'm kind of going by with some inflation there. Another big one is fuel. What is fuel going to be next January when we bid it?
Higher than we got last January.
You know, this year we have budgeted 211,000. Well, I bumped it to 292.
I don't know if that's gonna be enough. I mean, because fuel prices have basically doubled since we had it locked in. What did we lock it in at it last
This-
year? What did we lock? in
Last year for
Yeah.
2021, we
Yeah.
paid 204 a gallon. This year we're paying 294 for the whole year until January.
Which will be. God
So
knows what.
I budgeted for 450 a gallon.
I don't know
I
if
don't
that's
know.
enough, to tell you the truth.
I might be dreaming.
Order 1,000,000 gallon.
December, we're topping off every vehicle.
Well, that's January before we bid out, when our contract was up, I ordered 8,000 gallons, so. Utilities, slight increase there, annual
How
projects.
come you don't have anything under the gravel one? Do you have
I
that
think
somewhere
we're-
else?
I think we're sitting okay
So
for
we're,
gravel. I'm actually looking at possibly trying to buy some yet this year, since we do have it in the budget.
but you're not budget, we should probably budget, I would think, something for gravel. Because I mean, we use some every year, right? Do you think we have enough that you're not gonna get any?
Well, if, say for instance, I buy 20,000 ton this
Yeah.
year yet,
Yeah.
I think we'll be all right.
I don't,
Yeah,
what is
that's
the
fine.
board, do you think? we
I'm
should
good with
do
0.
something Where we consistently budget so much a year for gravel, so it's not so much one year and 0 the next, and then so much, I mean, it gives more consistency year to year, as opposed to, 286,000 one year and then none the next year. And then I guess I'd rather we have that in there. So it's almost like buying an ambulance or something. It's a huge expense and then not an expense for a while, like a contingency.
Well, his current budget has 125,000 and they've used 0.
So I think the more important, because Mike's operating expenses are extremely hard to line item budget. I think the more important is the total operating expense row. Because in the past history, I mean, we put things in categories that maybe didn't fit. At one time, we didn't even have a gravel category. And I think that was good that we have one now. But if we're not planning to buy gravel next year, I don't think we should budget to buy gravel. I mean, and I can make the same argument on the $4.4 million for bridges. That's an unusual line item. The only time it'll be that big is the next time we pick another Jim River Bridge to do. So I think adding all of these up and looking at the total operating expenses is the better way, in my opinion, to go. And that's when Joe and I sat down, we didn't have a concern with having 0 there, because if you're not buying it, you shouldn't budget for it. Because what you're going to do at the end of the year is steal it and put it in some other line item, because you've got the total to spend.
And right now, our inventory on the gravel, we are sitting really good up in the northwest part of the county. We have about 9,000 tons sitting there. At Markward, it's probably around that 30,000, and then another 8 at Trums, and then we probably got
That'll last.
we probably got
couple
3,000 at the shop.
I
4,000.
think to Dan's point though, and I'm fine doing it either way. But it's not accurate response to the budget on an accrual basis. Because if our inventory of gravel a year from now is 0, and now we've got whatever you got. It would indicate that we're possibly making money this year when we really aren't, because we're using up inventory.
And-
So it isn't a good accurate.
But I still struggle with this line item budgeting. I mean, if you put 50,000 in there and Mike's not planning, I mean, it doesn't do anything because it doesn't carry over to the next year. It's not like your example of putting money away for the ambulance is different because we are capital outlaying that in a separate category. It doesn't even show up in the budget. So we're assigning those dollars in the general fund. Here, we're not assigning dollars for gravel in the general fund.
I just
So
think it-
that's where I struggle. And the other, well, and you can look at the actual, anyway, that's my opinion.
Well, isn't the same true then of secondary roads?
And the secondary.
I mean, we go from $86 to $364. I mean, I don't know what we do with secondary roads, but
Go ahead, Mike.
Secondary roads, it's kind of a catch-all for gravel and
so it's,
also culverts. Something comes up
so it's already, gravel's already theoretically in there if you need it.
if needed.
Because the secondary roads, that's for the unorganized townships. And so if we put gravel on those roads, it comes out of that line item. It doesn't come out of up above.
The gravel.
So, because Mike will assign it there, so.
I guess just my personal opinion is for budgeting. I'd like to see that a little more consistent, but it's not, to me, it's not worth arguing about. I think we should move on, but that's what I would like to see, because it's harder to budget when it's $250,000 zero. And then at some point, it's gonna be $250,000 again.
And the reason we are
So-
sitting on a good inventory of gravel right now is we did have some leftover money in the
Yeah.
last couple of years where I bought extra.
But
No, I-
that's not gonna happen all the time,
I
and
understand.
most of the time, you're gonna buy the gravel that you're gonna bid it that year, and it's gonna be more consistent, is the point I'm saying, is people are gonna look at that. And so I'm ready to move on.
Kind of. Then I'll quit too after this. The point is, we know there's a gravel expense out there every, we know there's a gravel expense out there every year. And so what are we gonna use that money that would normally go? We can use it someplace else in the budget to have a balanced budget.
And then we won't have the 100,000 in there, so it'll be
You won't
assigned
have the
somewhere else, and we'll
inventory,
have to
yeah.
cut that out. next
Why don't
year
we take
because
the
of
20,000 from emergencies and move it up there?
I'm fine. with
Call
that.
it a day.
I agree with Wanda. Let's do it and move on.
Yeah, mark that down.
It's just accrual versus cash accounting.
Exactly.
Go ahead and are there any other of those line items you want to touch on before you kind of walk through our big projects?
Well, next would be annual projects. Chip seal. I'm figuring this year we're paying just shy of 22,000 a mile.
Is that on here or in any of the hands out you gave us?
My sheets.
Can I get a copy of that when you're done, please?
Yep.
Appreciate it.
47 miles of chip seal at 24,000 a mile. The striping for that approximately 90,000. And then also I have culvert lining in there. Something new we haven't done in the past, but I feel culvert lining culverts that are able to get lined, that are in bad shape on our asphalt roads. Looking at doing this lining instead of digging them up and having a,
And Mike, that's the fiberglass lining, is that correct? Or what, it basically, with the rusted out culverts, it restores them so you don't have to tear up the road. So
right.
It's a cost savings.
Well, I won't say it's a 100% cost savings. It's almost a wash,
Mhm.
if not a little bit of an expense, but then we're not disturbing the roadbed and we don't have a bump to drive over for the next 2-3 years.
Okay.
And that's only efficient, cost effective to do that up to a 30-inch after a 30-inch culvert. It's not cost effective for us to do that. We're better off digging it up and putting a new pipe in. So any questions on that? The next big one, bridges. I only have one in the plan since we're doing Stone Church also next year. The one bridge would be roughly 275,000. Then the rest would be Stone Church. So the grand total for bridges would be 4.373,500.
A lot of money.
Asphalt,
So stop right there. So that is, to Dan's comment, that is a lot of money. So it's about 4.4 million. How much is the state share?
the state's share is like 3.1.
So our net is going to be about 1.3.
Right.
That 4 million doesn't include the state reimbursement, or it does?
That's the total cost of the whole project. And
Okay.
then we will get reimbursed 3.1 after.
Yep. So I called Jeff Schaefer at the state on how best to plan for bridges like this, knowing that we're going to use some of the ARPA money that we've put away for this bridge. And he said some counties go ahead and list the project, and then they'll list the $3.1 million state grant in revenue under the highway fund. So if you would pull your revenue from highway fund and then match it to the expenses, you'll get your net, is how you could look at that. He said some counties don't budget for it. And instead they say, well, if we do the project, we'll do a budget supplement and then add that in. So we do need to talk, I think, when we get to the revenue, about those assigned dollars that are sitting in the general fund, and to make sure that they're being matched to these projects as well. So it's up to us whether we want to actually put it in the budget now, because we may have a crap year next year and not be able to do it. So then his comment was, and then you've given your highway supervisor the authority to spend all this money, but you're not doing the project, he said. So I said, well, you don't understand, Mike. He's a good guy. He wouldn't do that to us, right, Mike?
Patty, what do you think would be best in that circumstance? What would you recommend?
I think either way. Have some of the money assigned.
We trust you, Mike.
So, and just to touch on those, where did I put my sheet you gave me on that? Oh, crap.
On what?
Oh, here it is. So Patty had run at our last meeting, kind of looking at our initial, right now in our general fund, we have assigned for road and bridge, $1.3 million. We have assigned for James River Bridges, 1.5 million. So those are the dollars we currently have put away for doing this extra work.
Mike, I'd ask a question out of your projects for the upcoming year. Which projects on your 5-year plan have not been included in next year's budget plan? Or do you have everything covered in the 5-year plan for 23?
Pretty much everything's covered.
Great.
Yeah, one of the ones that was supposed to happen next year, we're doing this year. So,
And then like the crack sealant and patching, well, that all varies year to year on the 5-year plan. as we're doing it, I might change it just because I feel there's a different road that needs it worse than.
Absolutely.
So,
But just so the public understands that you are addressing issues on the 5-year plan.
right.
And the 5-year plan is a meaningful instrument.
Yep.
Thank you.
And the 5-year plan, mainly it's easy to plan the year, like next year and the following year, shaky. And then after that, I'm not saying you're guessing, but it's still nice to have that plan, See
They
how
become
close you can follow.
more like goals
Right.
than actual.
But it's definitely a good tool to plan the next couple of years.
So asphalt road. You want to mention the roads we're planning to try to improve the surface on beyond chip sealing?
For asphalt road mill and overlay, I guess we're kind of predicting to do what we're planning to do on Walshtown this year, do a profile mill. And then repave. So that's what the $1,679,450 would be for. Doing the full 12 miles of the Tabor Road.
We're gonna redo the Tabor Road. That's on the 5-year plan.
Yep. And if you look at the 5-year plan, it says that this year we're supposed to do 3 miles of the Tabor Road. That's not gonna happen because we didn't get all of our plan, my goal was last year to make it all the way to Johnson Bridge Road to 303. When we were paving from the north down Walshtown, well, we didn't get that accomplished. So now we're behind them a few miles. So we're gonna concentrate finishing the stuff on the east side, and then next year we'll jump over to the west. And the 5-year plan that was made in August because it's due October and I gotta have public meetings and all that. So therefore, I don't know what is going to get 100% done by that time, so I'm kind of shooting off the hip for the next year's plan on what didn't get accomplished the year you're putting the plan together. My goal is to get everything done, but it don't always happen.
So when well, down below, you still have machinery and auto. Why don't you touch on that down there?
Machinery and auto, that would be motor grader. We approved back in January to order it. It's $384,000. And then also would be the truck that I just applied for the grant here last week or the week before. We won't know if we'll be getting that grant until I think next Friday or. So there's another 166,000, which is just our share of that truck. That grand total comes up to 631,846. And that's, it may vary too on that truck pricing, because like the equipment, snowplow, the box, the wing, all the accessories to put on the truck, the quote is only good for 7 days right now.
Any other questions for Mike? It is big, and I will make this clear. This is not continuing because this is, again, that $3.1 million from the state and all of the ARPA funds that we have been given from the federal government. So we're starting to spend those. We spent $1 million of it last year.
Right.
Above where, and that's why our budget, when you look at the total from last year was 6.4 million. You take a million out of that, that's 5.4, which was 2021. So that's kind of our baseline in there. And all this money that we've received, we're trying to invest to catch up.
Yeah, it was kind of scary putting this together with the amounts.
Yes, it is. But I thought when we sat down, I thought you did a good job of trying to forecast what prices would be next year. And again, that's why we're trying to, at the end of the year, if you've got money in your budget, you need to be buying supplies and things like that. Buy more gravel this year if we need to. Because the forecasts just don't look good for 2023.
And yeah, getting back to the whole gravel thing, 2019, when we bought, it's $5.95. Last time we bought, we paid $7.43 per ton.
Yep, and with the state projects in the area, the need is
So that's
there.
kind of why we've been like a squirrel hiding in his nuts, just stockpiling.
It is, yep. Okay. All right.
You need a copy of that, please.
I have to go in there and get it.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Oh, I happened to be coming back from Omaha and I looked down East Side Drive and I saw some black stuff. How are we doing there?
I'm hoping today will be real close to getting the whole southbound lane done. We made it to Old 50 yesterday. So I'm hoping today we should be close to making it back to New 50. And then next week we'll work on our second lift and we'll be done with the asphalt on there for now. And then we'll just have shoulder work. And
Okay. And I did get a call from a farmer who was extremely happy to see the surface of the road is a little wider and shoulders. So little feedback for you.
the original road surface was 24-foot asphalt top, and right now it's 26, and our next lift will be 25. So we'll have a 25-foot driving surface.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Extension?
I think we should, let's do the city since they're here, get them out of here. Be respectful for the time.
Who's going to take the hit?
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking over this way. I
I'll
was
take the
saying-
first punch and then when I go down, these guys will come up.
Gotcha, Amy.
Hello.
Do you all have the letter that we sent to?
Yes.
Patty? Okay. Well, thank you, Honorable Chairwoman, members of the County Commission. I'm Amy Leone. I'm the city manager, and every year around this time, we come and visit with you about some of the facilities that we share and operate together. And we make our request for the following year. So you can see there in that letter what was proposed in 2022 and then what the county adopted. And then for 2023, what we are proposing and requesting of the county commission. So the Senior Citizen Center, the center, $32,477. Chan Gurney Airport, $15,000 is the request. Dispatch Center, $172,748. And then for the Yankton Community Library, $24,000. Just a little bit more by means of explanation, and then I'm happy to answer questions. And if I can, I've got the folks that operate the facilities here to give you more of an understanding if necessary. Just like the county's experiencing, we're experiencing an increase in costs. Everything from our equipment to materials, employee expenses, fuel, etc. There's also things that we need to take care of in our aging facilities and projects that we need to take care of. And those are not only large expenses on a good year, but adding the costs of contractors when we can find contractors, and adding the costs of their materials, etc., and getting the materials is definitely impacting our budget this year at the city. We have requested 15,000 as we have in the past for Chan Gurney Airport. That contribution has slid backwards from the county over the course of a number of years. For folks that are familiar with the airport, You'll know that we've done a lot of major improvements, and many of those have been assisted with federal and state grants. There's also a local expense to those as well. And we certainly continue to try to upgrade that facility on an ongoing basis for the entire county. Dispatch center, again, there's an increase there. That reflects not only inflation, but also costs of our employees, expenses, and addition of new equipment, et cetera. So there's an increase shown there. Yankton County Library, we've requested 24,000. Last year, what was adopted by the county was 15,000. The library has indicated they're certainly willing to discuss lowering what we charge for county cards if the contribution is returned, to a higher amount. We do have a major improvement at the library that we have to start this year. We knew that our roof needed to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed sooner than we thought. So we're actually going to commence that in this year and get that roof replaced. So I'm happy to answer questions that you have, or if they're technical ones, grab the department heads and have them answer for you.
What is I know what the dispatch center is, but what makes up those funds, if you know,
So
the requests?
So part of it is the employee expenses. We share some of the cost of the employees with the county. We also, through the E911 fund, we utilize purchase of equipment, and we fully redid our dispatch center last year. Also, just anything else that is necessary to run the operation. So portion of the utilities, portion of the office equipment, et cetera.
Any other questions for Ms. Leon? That was
Okay.
easy.
I
Thank
guess
you.
so. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys. Right, so let's see, city. 11 is comment. So the only thing I don't have checked off is extension and revenue. So with the extension, let's see, clear back here. Were there any questions on the extension budget? It's about the same as 2022. All right. Revenue. And those were passed out. Or did we want to walk through the others? Maybe we should walk through the others before we do the revenue. That's in the clear back of your book. And I think the first to start with is contingency, which we've been leaving at 400,000 for the last few years. Anyone see a need to change it from 400,000? All right, so we have elections.
There was a new handout, I believe.
Yep. I think I updated that. So it 21,700, is that the right one? 26,700. So I think I put it under auditor for me. Okay.
And that's just because I had talked to the state auditor and that grant I received for election expenses. The balance, if I don't use it all, I have to send them meetings out back. So instead of just putting it
Okay. Oh, down there, 5,000. Okay. Any questions on elections? Okay. We have court.
Does that include the public defender contract?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Any changes for court? All right, next is data processing. The note I had here, there's a lease payment for refresh.
Oh, that should be taken.
Okay, so is our refresh contract, we sign a contract on that. When is that up?
I think next year. But I
So-
know wasn't John gonna,
We're talking about purchasing of state contract.
Correct. Do we know when that expires? Is it like December 2023? Okay, so, all right, I'll take that on there. So I do, yep, I do believe that that is probably the route we're going to go, but since we're committed to a contract, we don't have a choice today. Any requested changes to data processing?
No.
The only thing I do want to, I guess, when we're talking about data processing, and I've not talked, well, I won't mention it here. It'll be at different locations. So clerk.
what is the clerk? Catastrophic legal expense, we have to pay into through the state.
So we budgeted 20,000 for that. Predatory animal, that's a state law. I think that's on the next sheet from the Game Fish and
Do we
Parks.
want to budget more for clerk? I'm looking at the actual expenses for 2019 and 2020 have all been more than 20,000.
2021 was 10.
Well, 2019, 28, 2020, 38. I don't know. I guess
And even if we double that, because that was the first quarter, as I understand,
uh,
we're way below.
leave it.
So with the predatory animals, that's all calculated on a state law. So 3,000 seems reasonable there. We have airport. The city was just here requesting 15,000. Now, when you look, and this was my question, Patty, that I had emailed you, we had 15 for 2019, then 10 in 2020. 2021 actual was 7,500 and we budgeted 5,000, but year to date shows 7,500. So I think I don't know if they billed us 7,500 and we paid that.
Yeah, they do.
So we paid them $2,500 extra this year than what we had planned on. So what do we want to budget for 2023?
So what does the county get for our contribution? Anything?
Directly, no.
Okay.
Yep. We don't have a company airplane out there or anything, so we had slowly been backing that down over the years. So I'd entertain a proposal for what 2023 should be.
I'd propose 5,000.
Any other comments on that?
I could support that.
Do we want to ask for our $2,500 back because we overspent this year?
No.
No? Don?
I'd say no,
No what?
we don't ask for the $2,500 because it was our year.
Yeah, I didn't catch it when it come through, Don. So Don, are you thinking 5,000 for next year or do you
Yes.
want something different?
No, 5,000
Okay,
at the most.
okay. So let's move on to the next one. There's a 5,000 there. There's care of poor.
And does that include all these funerals and things that we've been,
Yep.
Looks good to me.
Well,
It's unpredictable.
I can almost assure everyone that those expenses are gonna skyrocket because of the economy and inflation and everything, but I'm for leaving it as.
I think you're
thank,
right, Don.
thanks for your happy outlook.
You're welcome.
All right, Carapore is good. Public welfare. This is our homeless shelter donation every year. It's been at 10,000 for several years.
You know, I support the homeless shelter, particularly when it started out. They're doing pretty well now and expanding. I think they're buying properties and, you know, I just,
The homeless shelter did get a $250,000 bequest from some individual who passed away, whose name I can't remember.
I
So,
believe in years past, that was 5,000 and then it got upped. You know, I think we still need to support it, but you know, I don't know if 10,000 is the right amount or not.
Jesse probably does as fine a job as we've ever seen done in the
Oh, he
homeless
does a
center.
great job, yeah.
That provide the services for the homeless. I don't see the demand is gonna go down.
Mhm.
Negative comment again.
Yeah.
there you are with your all
Uh,
sugar and light.
I guess I kind of saw it as when we were doing it, we were helping the organization get going. And if we want to, you know, perpetually contribute to it, that's fine. You know, it is kind of a newer organization that is now doing pretty well and actually expanding.
But I think we,
I don't think
guess
it needs to be over 10.
the right word is not reward, but I think we need to recognize the outstanding job that's being done and encourage that to continue. And if that means a small uptick, fine. If it means leaving it the same, that's fine too.
Okay,
I'm just saying,
let's leave it the same then.
they're doing a great job.
Okay, so 10,000 for public welfare. We've got the contact center.
Well, as Don would say, I don't anticipate that's going down any.
Well, what, we're cutting the budget in half and, you know, again, you know, Troy and those people have done a great job and it is definitely needed. Speaking with them downstairs, with the economy, we all know what's gonna happen. I don't see that need going down. We probably should be careful about cutting their budget in half as well. In my opinion, I guess,
It's being proposed 25, same budget as this year.
Yes,
2021 was the 50, 2022 is 25.
mhm.
So I'm hearing consensus to leave it at 25.
yes.
I guess you know, its expenses aren't gonna go down any.
True, but they have some obligation to support themselves. I'd say leave it.
Consensus, 25?
It's up to Don.
Swing vote now.
Well, the thing that's nice about the contact center is giving food out to the people who need it. It's really a hand up, not a handout. And how many people, it's always the kids who suffer when they can't get proper nutrition.
So the
know.
rationale from going
No.
from 50 to 25 was because Jennifer, when she was down in the contact center, used to do all of our poor relief. We have taken that into the state's attorney's office and we have a county employee over there who's doing all of that. So that was the justification for going down to 25.
And we do provide them space in addition to that.
And we pay expenses out of that office and we don't charge rent or anything like that. So they are getting those benefits as well.
And this is what they requested.
I'm not sure. I don't think they had formally requested anything.
Well, guess my opinion is that they are doing an exceptionally good job, much better maybe than in the past. I probably have more demand right now.
Do you have a proposal then?
I would, I could see 30,000.
I'd support that,
Wanda?
That's fine.
So
That's
we've got
fine.
3 for 30, so we'll cross out the 25 and put a 30 there. Next page is catastrophic. Is it poor relief? Is that the PR? Okay, so that's state driven.
that's like an insurance fund if we get a huge medical bill. Or many medical bills, or is it just a single one?
It's just I think a combination of all.
Okay. That's probably money well spent there.
So mentally handicapped.
Don't we have to take that one in connection with the mental illness board? I mean, is that the same?
Or does this,
This is,
What is this one? Because the mental illness board,
this is,
Bills.
yeah,
is what?
This is,
like, Human Services Center, Redfield,
Oh, you mean people that go there?
yes.
Okay.
we have to reimburse the state when Yankton County citizens go to those
Yes.
facilities?
There's
Okay.
Redfield and,
Plankington,
no,
that's closed.
that's closed.
I can't remember. the other
One out in the hills is there.
one.
Okay.
We usually, get a sheet for, from that, oh no, that's expired.
Okay, this is the.
Okay. So the next is mental health centers. So there are notes there, Lewis and Clark Behavioral, 85,000. Is that that's their new request or was that last year?
Last year.
So that was the amount last year.
Haven't gotten the sheet yet for that.
Okay, so you can see the 4 places where these dollars go. All right, so we'll leave those blank until those are in. Big 0 there. Aspire, our next is mental illness board.
How much money does my concern with this one is that the number of hearings are down markedly. My understanding is they're down by at least 40%.
Okay.
We always get,
I'm sorry?
we always get a claim from Lucy every month. I guess I've
4,
never looked at the claims.
Well, so does it add up then to 50,000 so far?
I think if you look, this is for 4 months.
It's for 3 months.
through April.
Through April.
Okay,
So if you projected that out, that's 75 for the year. We have about 100 this year. We spent 60 last year, almost 100 the year before, so I don't know, I think 100 is reasonable. I'm not against backing it down a little.
90.
I can go with 90, that's fine. Anybody else good with 90?
I'm fine with 90.
All right, we'll change that one to 90. The next is the library, request from the city.
Mine just says why.
Yeah.
So
I
we've
wasn't
been,
sure what Y was.
we had slowly been backing this one down as well.
When I put these books together for you, I didn't have their sheet, so that's why I did.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
So I lost the city sheet. What is the city wanting?
They want 24 again.
I'm good with 15.
Any other comments on that?
I mean, it's open to county citizens. I mean, the one thing that the city has that we do not have is sales tax. And sales tax, if memory serves, I think I have the newspaper in the car. May sales tax hit another record high. So their budget is a little better than ours because we don't get anything extra. It's almost to the point where the county should go to the city and ask for some money.
I think all counties would be open to doing that.
I'm sure. Well, the worst they could tell us is no.
So do we want to leave it at 15, increase it to 24, or lower it even further?
Keep it.
Don?
Leave it.
Wanda, you were good?
I already said 15.
Okay, so we've got 3 for 15.
And Crystal is coming to the July 5th meeting.
Okay,
For historical,
so we'll
for July 5. Okay.
we'll hold off on that.
And then citizens, is that the senior citizens?
Yes.
I think we need to leave this one or give the request of the 32,477. And reason I say that is a lot of this goes to keeping our seniors healthy and out of the hospital. And it is a good community service that we provide. So
What say you, Don?
Yeah, I'm in support of Dan's.
The 32?
Yeah.
32,477. Okay, Drainage Commission, the $1,000 is the Missouri River sedimentation donation that we give.
That organization,
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna reword my comments. I haven't seen any demonstrated advantage to anything that's come out of that organization for quite some time.
So is that a 0?
I'd have to agree with you. I wish they would do more, but it is a huge project and undertaking, and it will significantly affect Yankton County in the future. If something isn't done, I agree with you. I wish more would be done, but
Dan, I was on that board
yeah.
30 years ago, I think.
Okay.
I don't know of one
Mhm.
thing that's been done in those 30 years to lessen the problem.
Yeah, I would agree
They've
with that.
done things to acknowledge the problem. They've done things that, but
So are you saying 0?
yeah, I would say that.
Are we good with 0 on that then?
I think at least it gives us a voice if we contribute to it. I understand your frustration, Don, but I don't know. At least we're
Well, maybe
part of a solution, so.
maybe they should come in and tell us what they do with their $1,000 a year.
Sandy does come in, doesn't she come in about once a year?
Yeah.
Sandy Stockholm, and tells us, I mean, it's not like you can just go and, you know, remove some set. I mean, it's so much bigger than that. I get your frustration too. I've attended the meetings and I wish more would be getting done, but
Where are you gonna put a tray and kind of,
no, you
Dirt.
can't. There's how many hundreds of semi loads a day just to break even? Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one.
What?
Yeah.
$1,000 probably would be a day of work. just about all.
Oh, I doubt that. That
Maybe a
probably-
morning.
Yeah.
The
Maybe
one-
start one truck
one
up.
person. So,
What about cutting it to 500 and because I think we're at a higher level. There's membership levels. I think we're at a higher one. We could maybe
Membership
be,
level.
I think that's how they do it. I hate to not have a part in it because, it's gonna negatively affect us eventually.
Well,
I,
to your point,
Mhm.
I agree that to have your
Mm.
foot in the door has an
Yeah.
advantage if something comes up down the road. I personally have thought that as the sedimentation comes further down the lake,
Mhm.
our opportunities are in tourism, not in control of the sedimentation.
Yeah.
More in tourism, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
bird watching, walkway paths, those kind of things.
Mhm.
But it's coming.
it is,
You
yeah,
can see it come down the lake every 5, 6 years.
you're right. It's like it's up to Wanda to decide.
So he's at 0, you're at 500.
I could go with 500,
Okay.
keep the door open.
all right, 500. The next is economic development. So this would be Thrive. I failed to bring my other computer today to tell you the balance that we still owe. Several years back, the county committed to $250,000. And I was thinking the balance after this year would be like 125. I wish I would have brought my other computer. It looks odd because it shows 2019 at 50,000, 2020 at 0, and 2021 at 50. The 2020 payment was actually made in 2021. So that should have been 50, 25, 25, and the current budget 25. So it just looks a little odd that's there.
But as you know, Thrive is in Yes For campaign,
Yes.
and they've requested meetings with the county. I think Sherry and I. I'm not sure if anybody else has been. There are a number of good things that have come from Thrive. I think it would be good to have Nancy come and
Wasn't she just here?
Yeah, she was just here.
Yeah.
she comes to most of our, or a lot of our meetings. I don't recall her giving a presentation.
She
She just
did.
gave a
It was
presentation.
a couple
About
months
3 months
ago. Yep.
Okay.
And talked about that. So, the question before us today
Short-term.
is what do we want to do for 2023 to pay off our balance on must have been the S3. If this one's S4. Do we want to keep it at another 25 or do we want to boost it back to the 50 that was originally committed?
I'm good keeping it with the 25. I mean, they do something for the county, but they do a lot for the city.
Do we still have a Chamber of Commerce expense? I thought I saw on one of the,
We do, the county.
so are we paying this in addition to the chamber? Because the chamber doesn't exist anymore. And I've seen bills for the Chamber of Commerce that, I
Yeah,
think that
it's-
goes to Thrive now, so.
The vendor just hasn't, we haven't changed.
Okay.
the vendor.
So we probably need to stop the Chamber of Commerce payment since they don't exist anymore, because they get the,
Well, it's to yes.
okay. But we, I guess in years past, I'm saying we had a Chamber of Commerce payment and a YAPG payment that were separate, and now they've combined, and we have this Thrive payment, but we still have the Chamber of Commerce payment, which isn't a whole lot, but I still have
And
seen
it'll
it.
be done with
Membership
Okay,
for each office.
okay.
25?
What's Joe's thought on this? Maybe we should wait and see what he has to say. And wait till next
We
meeting to
haven't,
decide this
we
one.
haven't waited on any of the other ones. So, and again, this is a commitment the county made. It does need to be paid. So whether we do it at 25 at a time or 50 at a time, that first commitment needs to be followed through on.
I'd do the 50 and get it over with.
We can't get it over with except for 125. Not,
I think Don's saying accelerate it and get it paid for. Is that your point, Don?
I think, Wanda, did you say keep it at 25? I'd be fine with that.
well, so are we paying, just so I'm clear, are we paying Thrive and Yankton Area Progressive Growth?
I think what Patty was saying is any business in town has a membership to Thrive. And they do donations above that base membership. So that's essentially what the county is doing now, is we have the base membership in the organization, whether it's $200 or whatever, something like that. And then this was over and above that.
My only concern is if we accelerate our payment this year, if they'll expect accelerated payments every year.
But remember, they're accelerated payments because we didn't make our commitment on a timely basis.
The commitment was 50,000 for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And so when when we were budgeting in 2019, we were in the midst of a flood and looking at having to pay for a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So we did that 2020 budget under duress, saying,
Okay.
well, we need to maybe.
I wasn't
that.
here in 20.
Yep, you were
well,
right.
I
So
wasn't here in 2019.
exactly.
So that in that case, if it means that we can just get it over with, let's just get it over with. Let's do the 50.
Dan,
25.
Don,
50.
okay, we'll put in 50.
So how many do we have left then?
You know, I need to look up that balance. Patty could too.
Yeah, let's find out what we have
I-
left of our pledge.
I've been tracking it on my other spreadsheet, which doesn't work on this thing.
Of course.
Could we entertain a 5-minute?
Yeah, I don't think we need an official break. We'll just, why don't you go while Patty's looking up the information, doing it.
Yeah, that he was good.
Did you want to comment on the Thrive balance?
We're back on the record.
I think
The balance would be like 125,000.
And so if we do the 50 payment, it'll get down to
To
75. So, all right, so that's 50. Our next page is emergency planning. Looks like most of this is utilities. So this is the, is this the 911?
Yes.
So our dispatch center, they were asking for 172,748.
And that would go under professional,
And that goes where?
professional services.
So you can see on the city's handout, 2022 proposed was 159,068. And if you look at this current budget per professional services, it's 159,068. So that line item where there's a little X, the city is requesting 172,748.
Oh, I see where you're saying.
You know, and I'm thinking maybe that salary, because I guess they don't, there really isn't there's a designated person, but they don't do much with it, the sheriff's office. We can even lower that salary.
What's the city increasing their salaries by? Does anybody know?
A lot.
And is there a percentage? Do you know by chance, Gary?
I thought 10%.
Yeah,
Sounds like that. It was in that range.
I want to say, yeah, no. Obviously, they have more money than we do. So,
So do we entertain the 172 or do we want to adjust their request?
I think we should adjust their request.
Do you have a proposal for that? Right now, this year is 159.
160.
I guess why are we going down on that? I'm curious. Because
Because the dispatch center is in the county building.
that's what we share the cost with.
I
It's
don't think
our share, isn't it our share of the cost for running the dispatch? That's not the whole cost of the dispatch, is it? It's like our share. Is that correct, Patty?
Well, that's just, the running, and I think.
The operating
Yeah,
expenses?
and I
Yeah.
think the utilities, they have their own, that has to do with that too.
Yeah, it has its own utilities and
Yeah.
and then there's equipment. And is this, the expenses for this come out of the 911 fund?
Yes,
So it's the only thing we can spend the 911 fund on is this. So to me, it doesn't, I get what you're saying on cutting it, but in my opinion, that's the only place we can spend the 911 dollars.
Well, how many
Anyway, so
911 dollars do we have?
that's a Patty question.
let me go in.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't bring my fund balances with me.
So.
That would have been in your last year's.
Because I know
or-
we had the same conversation a couple years ago on this exact issue, so. And I believe, and Patty would probably know, this is equipment to run that dispatch center. What's that? And sellers, yep. I know the E911 funds are real restrictive on what you can use it on, so. I don't believe the dispatch center is doing less calls each year. I think it's more and more all the time. So in the dispatch, I know police, EMS, fire, and are you guys on that too? So you're monitoring all that as well, so. Have you met the new fire chief yet? Is he Omaha or where was he from? Lincoln.
There is 344,000.
Total dollars?
Yep.
Well, then I guess we're good for the one,
The full amount. And then we-
if that's the only place we can spend it.
is that an accurate statement? Pat? I know it's those funds are very restrictive on what
Yes,
we
they
can
are.
use them
Yep.
for. And that's is that a phone tax or something? There's some
Yes.
sort of tax where that comes from outside of property tax, so.
$172,748.
Yep.
That's where we're at. Okay, so we will write that in there. The next sheet. Jail building. The reason we have this is the state had requested that we start budgeting any expenditures out of our jail fund. We hadn't historically done that. So it looks like there's a $40,000 outlook for furniture and minor equipment.
And we have to, the state auditor said that we have to budget for it even though we don't spend it.
You know, 40,000 is a good start, but I don't. My prediction is if they do work something out with the regional jail facilities, this might be something we should budget for a higher amount. Because possibly jails are gonna be built with state funds. We have a jail already, so this might be something we could get reimbursement with. And jails are tough because when you have expenses, they're really high. You know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like the plumbing work we did. Maybe we need to budget that number a little bit higher.
So
50,000 or something. I would say, because this could be a potential that we do get some reimbursement with the state if something like that goes through.
I don't think I'm following your logic
Mhm.
on that. So this is the fund where any work currently the sheriff thinks we need to do to the jail is what he's budgeting for.
Mhm.
And we did the roof this year. And we had an update on the HVAC, et cetera. So like if we had a huge roof project we had to do and it was going to be 250,000, we would budget for that in here. So
Well,
just,
we're
I'm
also
not,
looking at trying to get, some of the areas a little safer with, right now it just has railings.
yep,
then-
and that's in
it's
that
histo-
40,000.
Well, that, I don't think that's gonna touch it.
Do we have any quotes on that?
They haven't come back yet,
Okay,
but I'm pretty, it'll be more than that. That plumbing project we did wasn't that 300 some $1,000?
well, we were digging up a whole floor. That was
Mm-hmm.
700-800,000. So, and that would be jail capital improvement would be anything that you're talking about, and there's nothing in that line item right now.
I don't know.
I'll touch base
So
with the
you think
sheriff.
we want to budget $40,000 for minor equipment?
Do you want to change that? Do you want to put
Well-
it up in repairs and maintenance?
I think that's probably where it should be. In repairs and maintenance.
Or
I mean,
it's-
each
I'm
lot
sorry.
is $5,000.
it should go down into the jail capital.
Capital
improvement.
improvement.
Okay. I just
So
don't think
I will
that's
touch base with
enough,
the
but-
sheriff and see what's reasonable to put there for next year.
So that's a question mark.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Next page is
I- I-
domestic.
Just a general comment. I think it's very important with the regional jail concept going on and with perhaps maybe other entities that are looking at jails in our area, that we maintain a high quality
Exactly.
facility. And
Well,
because
and
it's a major income.
Generating.
it
source.
is, and for those counties that have a jail that aren't getting state funding, what it's looking like is maintenance costs might be something that the state could help out at. And if ours is really low, that's what we're gonna get.
But we also shouldn't be doing things just to do them. So again, I get back to it's a balance, and I think the sheriff's done a really good job of keeping our jail top notch. So I'll touch base with him
Okay.
on that. So the next page is domestic abuse. So this is our River City Domestic Violence Center.
Keep it.
I shudder to say I'm in favor of domestic abuse.
And part of those funds come from,
Marriage certificates.
Yeah.
I'm fine leaving it at 10.
So am I.
okay, so let's turn the page. We've got county buildings. This is a separate fund. This is not part of the general fund. So this is a separate tax levy. And in that, I think if I recall, it's been running about 160, 170,000 for a balance. Oh, you printed it out.
There's 100.
170,000 in there. So this is a deal where if we budget for it here, it stays in that fund and carries over. It's not like the others that if
No,
it's
the
there,
Budget doesn't.
well,
The
but,
revenue does.
but the revenue does. So that 60,000 is revenue we're collecting, putting in that fund. And I do believe this needs to be higher than 60. I would prefer to see that fund running around 200,000,
And what's in there right now?
170. So we're going to, you can see what we've been spending. There was 20, 87, 79 that has actually been spent. So that's 60, I think, where it's 60 is below what we spent the last 2 years. And I think that shows because our fund a couple of years ago was 200,000.
But year to date is about 17,
Yep.
if we double.
Well,
number.
but again, if he's got a planned project, we approve
Does he? I don't know if he does.
Well, we approved some roof work to be done, and I'm not sure we paid for that yet.
That
So that's
was
not been
20 that was
paid
like
for.
20,000.
How much
So
was that?
23,000 around there. It wasn't, it was, and some of that was on the jail too, which would be covered under the other one.
Yeah, and you have to remember, this is not just this building.
yeah,
It's
so
all
we've got
county
all the
buildings.
highway buildings, which we
Oh,
own
okay.
several. We've got the extension, we've got the EMS building, all of that work. That I think 100 would be reasonable.
with 100.
I'm better with 90.
I was thinking 80, but I could go with 90.
I think it's too low, but Don, do you want 90 or 100?
I can go with 90.
Okay, it's 90.
We're gonna, if it has to be done, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So. And we've got historical preservation. So this is a separate tax levy as well. So Patty's just forecasting the taxes off of that, correct?
Yes. Like, it's just an estimate. I don't,
That's the 50-cent tax levy that's flat. So as our valuations go up, their
That
income
goes up.
goes up because it doesn't adjust like our general fund does.
So how much is in there?
well, that gets sent, that
110.
gets sent.
So it all goes to the historic preservation. We have no control over those dollars.
Okay, I'm just curious. How much?
So, and then we've got, oh, ARPA.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to put a budget in there.
This is for
This will
the I
just
Bailey.
supplement anyway.
This was that 2,000 for the I Bailey we sent in?
Yes, and we're supposed to get reimbursement for,
Reimbursed. Yep.
Because because as soon as they put that all together, they changed the rules, which essentially said anything under 10 million, you can spend on any general government obligation that you had, except for paying down debt and supplementing.
Except for anything you want to spend it on, except for.
Well, I can understand not paying down debt and then not making up your retirement fund.
Yeah.
And that was because of the
No, I
states
know,
that
it's
are,
just an interesting concept. So
Yeah.
what number are we putting in there?
actually, I don't think we should put anything in
No,
there
'cause we'll
because
supplement it
That'll go away,
Okay.
won't it? Because
Bec-
it's ARPA, so that we probably won't.
eventually. yeah.
Okay.
because we'll be sweeping those funds here as soon as we get them.
Yeah, and we haven't received our second check.
The debt service, this is for paying off the county buildings or the safety center. I'm sorry. This is for the safety center. Last payment will be in a couple of years. So
And this is scheduled payment,
that's a separate tax levy.
yes.
Mhm.
Debt service for Napa Junction. So this would be the TIF. So all of the taxes above the base taxes go back to the Dakota Plains.
Is that the one that just sold?
Yes. So now it's owned by Cargill.
Because what they have done, I'm gonna have to call and see what they want. They have a payment schedule also. But they always just wanted to pay what the money received in, so it was always higher. So I'm gonna have to call and see if they still wanna do that. Or,
Just tell them we're gonna do that.
Well, we'll budget for all of it, and if they only want to take half of it, then we're under budget for that. So that's the last sheet I had in my budget book. We have revenues.
now these are all estimates, so.
Do we still get money for pistol permits? Since I thought everybody could have one without buying.
That's through Jim. I don't know.
I was thinking there was some reason we still did get some. And I don't, but I can't tell you why.
I'll ask him. So how much money have we gotten for weed licenses?
For what licenses?
Weed.
Nope.
Oh, I was
Oh.
thinking county weed board and I'm thinking, what are you?
Not that
Oh,
weed.
Marijuana. There we go. Medical marijuana.
We've gotten 25,000,
7.5?
25
Oh, 25.
so far.
Have the Department of Health, have they issued any actual licenses?
I believe so. But we don't get a notice about it. Who got them or not?
You would think.
I know the city had 2 approved,
Well, I know they had 2 approved.
but I haven't heard on the county. Valley sent an email link out.
I thought it would be polite, I know that's not the right word, but polite for the state to send us even an email to say, yeah, we approved Joe Smith and
I'll find that link and send that to you. All right. So we can just walk through kind of the pages. First page starts with our property taxes, estimating about $7 million in current property taxes to be collected in 2023. And they always estimate the delinquents. The other ones are pretty small. So any issues with the taxes? Okay. And that's all based on our 3% CPI and our 1.6% growth. So 4.6%. We've got marriage licenses, beverages, pistols, zoning permits, weed signs, and medical cannabis.
I did, for the cannabis, I didn't know what to put in there. If you guys wanna, you should put any in there.
That's an interesting thing. I'm okay right now leaving it 0.
Like the state auditor always said, is, it's like a gift. If you don't put anything in, you get money.
Yep.
which
It's gonna be
line?
hard to predict, I'm sure.
I think once we know on recreational marijuana and in a couple of years, I think things will settle down and shake out to who's going to survive and who doesn't. Because sometimes people get these licenses and then it's not economical and they don't renew them. So it may be best to leave it blank for now. Okay. The next is intergovernment revenue. So these would be grants we get. Where's our state grants?
334.
334, there we go. Now, right now, this is where that state grant for our bridge is not listed.
Do you want that, would it go into Mike's though? This is general.
Oh, this doesn't include all of it. It's
No.
not, oh, this is all general.
just general.
Okay, so under Mike's, under highway, state grants should be listed and he can get you the exact figure for what that would be. It's about $3.1 million. So under the highway fund, that should be listed there. Okay, I thought maybe these were all just
No,
smushed into one. Okay, just the general fund.
so he would have it in his 334 state grant.
Okay, so we need to make sure that's in there. So when you do your calculation that first showed that negative 10%, that's listed in there.
As soon as you take that money out of there, transfer that back into his budget, then that money that's reserved, then that will go up too. I mean, that'll go down. I don't.
Okay. Any questions on page 1 then? Okay, page 2.
Patty, how does the alcohol tax work?
That's from the state.
So is that for alcohol sales?
Yeah.
On sale and off sale or?
I
one?
believe so. I'm not sure
And there's a percentage that we. get
that
back
every
on
county gets.
Okay. Right on.
Okay, so total intergovernmental revenue 522. Okay, charges for goods and services. I'm not seeing any big red flags here. Jail holds 200,000, third up from the bottom. I
I
suppose you
don't know
mul,
if we want to, like that immigration customs enforcement, that keeps going down every year because it's not. So I don't know if you think that's a good amount.
the 25, probably reasonable.
Well, I don't think they're doing any of that stuff anymore
Yeah, I don't think so.
under the new regime.
Open border.
But I think the Register of Deeds fees are probably conservative based on what Mr. Hunoff has said.
And some of his fees go in his separate maintenance and repair fund there as well.
Which one are you
60.
looking at?
You're talking register of deeds
Yep.
copies.
But then I don't want to be,
You know what I mean? You want to be
Over
pleasantly surprised at the end of the year, say,
Yeah.
ooh, we got more money than we planned for.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's
Well,
good.
yeah, I don't want to change it, but I just think that he's being,
Yeah, this year.
I like to be surprised in a good way at the end of the year.
Okay. All right. So no changes on page 2, page 3.
I guess I was just questioning the ambulance fees, if that's, shouldn't be higher. Based on,
Where are you at, Don?
422 ambulance fees.
34422 is the account number. There again, I don't want to put too much in there because then we'll be,
Disappointed.
Yep.
well, it doesn't,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm good with the 750.
That's the amount we're charging and, okay, got it.
That's the
That's-
income.
That's what we're receiving. We charge probably
Oh,
$1 million. $100,000.
twice as much. Yeah.
Double that, yeah.
Wick, that's so probably a reasonable amount there. So fines, forfeitures. Same budget as last year. Miscellaneous. Other financing. I didn't see any big red flags anywhere on page 3. So page 4. Okay, so here's our road and bridge. Okay, so that closes out the general fund. You can see our total revenues. I don't have a total there. Okay,
I did
Yep.
figure it.
that's fine. In case there were changes, that made sense.
The, highway for the taxes estimated is 434, 359.
What page are you on?
So this would be the first page of road and bridge. So it's
Oh,
actually
okay,
sheet
got it.
4.
Got it.
So if you want to put that in there,
434.
434, 359.
So that goes on the very top line.
They had, that includes the $50,000 opt-out. They had growth of 2.4, so they could increase their amount 5.4. And that came to like 19,692.
What was the growth in that?
Growth was 2.4
2.4.
and CPI is 3.
Okay. Signs. So intergovernmental revenue, state grants.
Okay, I'll put an X by that for my.
So that's where if we are going to budget for the Jim River Bridge on 431, we need to budget for the income to pay it as well.
So is that the total 4 million or the 3 million?
It would be the state grant itself, the 3 million, because we have to pay about 1 million of it. Just rough numbers, so that will. And then that truck grant is through the state as well. So when if we get approved, he's budgeted to buy a truck. Did he only budget our portion of it, though? I think he only budgeted our portion. I'll check with Mike on that to make sure.
When we get that money in, it'll count as revenue. So it'll go back into his budget.
Right,
So we don't want to put anything in here,
okay,
because if we budget for that amount, then we can't put it.
our share. Here. See, and that's the other thing on the big grant, we can only budget for our portion of it and not budget for the states, and then you don't have to list it there. That was his point of you can pick one way or the other, but don't mix and match. Okay. Page 2. I didn't see any other concerns with the revenue for road and bridge. All right, so we have revenue for the 911 fund at 220, which is it's essentially pretty close as last year's budget or a current budget, I guess. Okay, so the next page is the jail building. 10% of our jail revenue goes to the jail fund. So that's 100,000. So essentially, we're expecting $1 million for jail revenue next year.
But then we also spend close to that,
Oh, yeah.
so it's.
Mhm.
Emergency management revenues. So this would be to cover half of our salaries. Is that right? Emergency management performance grant. That's what that is.
Yep. And I did increase it because we pay half now, we get half reimbursed rate of the whole, so that's why I increased it.
Okay. So after emergency management, we have domestic abuse. So this would be marriage licenses, divorce fees, some court fees. I suppose those are for penalties. So that looks fairly reasonable.
So do we make up the difference? I know we
Yep.
budgeted for that, so we pay in the extra.
Yep,
For
4,100.
to the domestic violence shelter. Next is county building,
Oh, I gotta change that to, would you say 90?
90. Yep, so this is our tax levy to cover that. We have a sobriety fund. Sobriety testing. And this would be the M and PR fund. So this would be the Register of Deeds Fund for revenue. Which the 14 probably is pretty reasonable. We've got the American Rescue Plan, which we will not receive any further funding from. But that 22-15-676 should be coming
Yes.
in July, any day now, right? The
Yeah,
checks in the
some-
mail?
Yeah, because some auditors have gotten theirs already.
Oh, good. So that would be it for all of the COVID dollars, the last payment. Rural Access Fund. We even have
That's.
that anymore?
That's, for Mike.
Rural access infrastructure.
Oh,
for the
the
townships.
RAFE. Yeah, and I did ask our state association if the state has finalized the proportions for the next 3 million, and they have not yet.
And we have 8,500 left in that.
Yeah, which is good.
That's gonna be just one-time monies as well.
Well,
This,
Maybe.
they did pass something this year. So when they passed the original, they did 3 million to do the inventory, which we received 38,000 from. They did 3 million for to be dispersed in August this year, but we don't know our portion of it. So then they passed another law this last session for 3 more years. And how much was that for? Shoot, I didn't bring my stuff. Anyway, it went from 3 million to like 8 or 9 million. Something like that. So we'll get significant dollars for the next 3 years going. So 2023, 24, and 25, we will get payments into this fund for. Can't tell you how much though. We're all waiting for the percentages. So these dollars would be used on township level roads, both organized and unorganized, through a grant process that the county commission reviews and distributes. Historical preservation, this is that separate tax levy for them, so 114,000. And debt service, again, that's our separate tax levy.
And I'm, for
And
the
the Napa.
404, Napa, 500,000 in there for taxes.
500,000,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
just Estimating.
So that's all the revenues. What else do you need us to review today, Patty?
I think that's it. Maybe just go over what we have and I'll, with the changes, send it out to another sheet.
Email those out.
Yep, I'll get
Okay.
mine out, so.
For Tuesday.
You want it on the agenda for Tuesday? But
How bad's the agenda for Tuesday?
not bad at all. I've got spots open.
Why don't we go ahead and put a budget on there? And if we want to discuss something, we can. If we don't, we don't have to.
Do you want me to put it after, your stuff? then?
That'd be fine.
We can always move it around too if it isn't. Okay, because, well, and I think the one thing we didn't discuss is raises for employees, what percentage we want to apply to the matrix for 2023. All of this, I believe, was done on 4% for the most part, plus the 2% if you get a step raise, so that's 6%.
we should check and see what the city's done. That's a competitor of ours,
Yep.
and then make that decision at our next,
What are you saying, Don?
Okay.
Wanda, I'm saying maybe we should put that on the agenda for the next meeting after we've checked to see what the city is doing, because they're a major competitor for our employees.
They are, but they have a lot more money than we do.
That could be.
Okay, I will check with Ms. Leon at the city with that. And I'll talk to the sheriff about any work in the jail. And I'm gonna get a medical marijuana link to Wanda. And I gotta talk to Mike about that truck and how he budgeted. So we get consistency in that.
And I did talk to the state auditor about that. You were wondering if the maintenance you wanted out of the, that jail
Oh,
building fund
yep.
for- He said no. He said that should come out of the safety center.
For maintenance on the building, but any capital improvement.
Yes.
So we have to remember that when we do work in the jail, that we're improving the jail. We're not like replacing a toilet.
We're not repairing, we're improving.
We could put in gold toilets. Would that be a major improvement? I don't know, but we do have to be careful there. And that's pretty typical in any business, capital expenses and things. So let's see, I think we checked everything off except for public comment. Would any citizen at this time care to make a public comment? Public comment is closed with no comment. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
so move.
Second.
Motion by Kettering, second by Fox to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now adjourned.